Ah yes, Scotland get battered everywhere they go.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yeah, what's happening, people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well. Genuinely do hope that. I jest an England fan, bantering Scotland. I did want them to do something against Germany, host nation. And of course, they did absolutely nothing. They generated 0.0 XG with Germany scoring a goal for them. That's how they generated not 0.01 XG. Nada! I will be talking about Euros games on my sister channel, which is called Football Yannick. Instead of Football Therapy, it's Football Yannick. That's me. So if you want my opinion and coverage on the Euros games, go subscribe to that channel. I will be referencing player performances from international games here, if they're Chelsea players, here on Football Therapy. But go check out Football Yannick. But today is Chelsea news, and welcome on back to Chelsea news. We'll be talking about an international performance in Enzo Fernandez. Estevao, Willian completing his medical. Tyrique George, young player, signing a new deal, which is making a lot of academy aligned people very happy. And then, yes, more on the Duran deal. John Duran, easy for me to say. Of course, he looks like very, very likely signing, potentially our next signing, as we continue to work on the likes of superstar Michael Olise, which would be a very interesting talent to get on the books. So thank you for joining me. Look, man, thank you so much for the love and support from you guys. There you go, subscribe. Thank you for the nice comments, I see them. Please do consider dropping a like, takes a second. Why not subscribe to the channel if you dig the content and you want to come back? If you choose to subscribe, you should hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. Got the tones for you there, man. Right, let's get into it. Let's show you this first. Enzo Fernandez played for Argentina in a 4-4-2 formation yesterday. Bang! And apart from Lautaro Martinez and the GOAT himself, Lionel Messi, both scoring a brace and therefore generating a high score on one of these stats websites, the highest is Enzo Fernandez out in midfield. This is looking like a 4-4-2, but he started in some very deep positions. And as Twomey of The Athletic often says, who I like to cite, Fernandez always plays better with the game in front of him, and not when he's playing in like a number 10 position. This demonstrated his immense ability, starting moves off really deep and getting involved with them out the pitch, and getting the pre-assist, as the kids like to call them, but just generally balling out. And as you can see there, fellow World Cup winner Mac Allister just not up to scratch comparatively to Enzo Fernandez as the third highest rated player and the highest non-forward on the pitch. Excellent, considering Enzo. There he is again. Considering Enzo Fernandez has just returned from surgery and he's been getting fit again, this bodes well. I like it. I want him to get into super shape, have a good Copa America, go and win the ruddy thing, have a lovely time, why not? And then come back, not go to the Olympics, come back, get ready, because you, my friend Enzo, could be such an integral figure for your namesake at Chelsea, for Enzo Maresca. So I'm very, very excited for that. I'm very pleased to see Enzo up and running, and Chelsea fans will be very pleased to not only see him fit and healthy and smiling, but looking good. This is what we need. We he got his stock went massive at Benfica in the Portuguese league, but in the Champions League more notably. But he got supercharged with Argentina, of course, winning the World Cup and being the best young player at the World Cup. So let's try that again. Supercharge yourself for the Copa America, or the Copa America, and come back, return, and be like, right, now we go. Now I'm going to do my thing, and now you're going to see it. Because he has played well in the Chelsea shirt. It would be churlish to suggest otherwise. He has, bro. So let's get some consistency. Sweet. Alright, Fabrizio Romano confirming medical tests have been completed for Willian Estevao as new Chelsea player in Brazil. Of course, playing very, very well for Palmeiras, registering a couple of assists last time out. 17 years old, playing like a little superstar. He is an amazing player. We can all have a sigh of relief that the deal is essentially done. The paperwork's just about to be signed. He's an incredible player. Yes, we gotta wait till essentially the end of the season coming, but he could play in the Club World Cup. which technically is like an extension of next season. So in a way, it's kind of like we get to see him next season. Still, man, this is a massive acquisition and one we should be interested and excited about. But of course, it's a little while away, so we'll put a pin in it and we'll move on. Romano as well confirming the fact that Tyrique George has signed all the documents to stay at Chelsea on a longer contract. The agreement was sealed as revealed yesterday. Exclusive story now, but now confirmed. He's born in 2006. He will be a part of the present and future, as his contract was one of the club's priorities this week, and that is completed. Tyrique George is a very, very talented young player, earmarked by a lot of people to do good things, and yes, a lot of people assuming that he could actually affect the first team sooner rather than later. Seen a lot of people very pleased about this, so good news, man. The team of tomorrow could also be the team of today. Right, so striker business is big business, especially with this news, and I don't know if it's speculation or news, that Nico Jackson has sustained an injury on international duty. I'm not sure that would affect his pre-season. I'm yet to see that. But the fact remains, guys, girls, ladies and gentlemen, that Chelsea have one recognised striker probably on the books going into next season, if we are to assume Datro Fofana will be sold or loan. Armando Brea will most certainly be sold. And yeah, sure, Nkunku can play up top and it will look good. But we are now in Europe and there will be more games and Chelsea will back themselves to go deep in the cups again. We simply need another centre forward. Whether that's a superstar or indeed that's another young talent that we believe we can get more value out, like John Duran. So, lots of stuff with Aston Villa. Of course, they've got financial fair play stuff. We're going to read an article from Matt Law in just a moment. But Fab Romano, to cite him for the final time in this video, he said that Duran would be a swap with other players. So this is what Fabrizio Romano is saying. He's saying that John Duran would be involved with a swap with other players, which the only other player I can feel like they want for sure is Conor Gallagher. Now, Conor Gallagher, for me, is worth more than John Duran. Unless they do a straight strop for Armando Brea, which would be very interesting, because for me that would say they want a second striker and they'd prefer Armando Brea to John Duran, which would make me a little bit worried, unless they do need a second striker, but they just need to generate a little bit of money. And maybe they see John Duran worth more than Brea, which you could argue with yourselves about. But let's just say, we know Chelsea want John Duran, and this is me speculating to a degree here. I've gone on record here on the channel and said, obviously we were offered 30 million for Brea by Everton, reportedly, and I was like, take the friggin' money. If John Duran, incorrectly in my eyes, is valued at 40 million, then if they say, give us Brea and 10 million, I would probably say okay. Because I feel like we do want John Duran, he does look quite good, and I'm still quite happy to start Nico Jackson for a lot of games. I mean, there's no sexy superstar high profile strikers out there that don't cost ridiculous amounts of money. Like, Seshko's off the table. I'm not sure we can sign Alvarez, despite the reports that we reacted to here on the channel from Argentina that Chelsea will make an offer for Alvarez. But whether that would be received or whether that's informal, we're not sure yet. We will, of course, make sure you do keep it locked to the channel, because we will follow these stories as soon as they pop off, and I will report to you here with all the news and gossip, as it were. But these strikers just aren't around. We're not going for Victor Gyökeres. We're not going for Osimhen. Seshko's staying at Leipzig. So you got to look at the alternatives. And Tony, no one's really talking about Tony. Of course, there is also talk about Dom Solanke for £65 million. I wouldn't hate Dom Solanke returning to Chelsea, but it would be a rip-off ultimately. And they do say, you should never go back. Similarly, and his strike partner from the academy, Tammy Abraham, could be available for £20 million, which obviously isn't a rip-off. I absolutely believe Tammy Abraham is worth £20 million. And change, probably. I know he's come off like ACL or something. But he's good. He's good, Tammy. Definitely 20 million. But I similarly don't think we should go back. That's just how I feel on that. So let's dig into the situation with John Duran, and I'll also talk about Ian Maatsen, which actually kind of coincides what Fabrizio Romano says about a player swap. So this is Matt Law's article. Chelsea have been given permission to discuss personal terms with Aston Villa's John Duran, with the striker's future also key to the Midlands club signing a player from Stamford Bridge. Telegraph Sport can reveal, as well as Conor Gallagher, Villa have asked about left-back Ian Maatsen, who of course spent the second half of the season on loan at Borussia Dortmund. Maatsen has a £35 million release clause in his contract that Dortmund are not willing to meet, which has opened the door to Villa. I mean, what about a straight swap? Straight swap? And also, hold on, before we read on, I know this is boring in financial jargon, but let's just say 35 million each, straight swap. I'm not going to suggest for a moment this will happen, but that's better for Chelsea because John Duran, he's 20, will put him on a 7-year deal. And I know they've changed the amortization rules. I was reminded in the comments recently. So 7-year deal, but 5 years amortized. We get 35 million on the books immediately. And what's 35 divided by 5? 35 divided by 5. 7. Probably some of you did that immediately. So we get 35 on the books for this financial period immediately, and it will only cost us 7 in this financial year immediately. So that's £28 million profit for the isolation financial year, and that's just swapping Maatsen for Duran. Business, maths in business. How many of you are still awake? Yes. So, which has opened the door to Villa, by the way, might interest Maatsen. He didn't want to go to Burnley, rightly so. He loved Dortmund. Obviously, he's hearing like Bayern and Dortmund are interested. But Villa, obviously he speaks fluent English. I don't think he speaks German. Villa are in the Champions League. You just played in the Champions League final. I know you had a couple of dodgy moments in it, but you probably have the taste to put that right and play well in the UCL again. Villa are in the UCL, and they're probably similarly unfancied like Dortmund were. Yes, so it's interested Villa. Villa will only sign player for Chelsea's this summer if Duran completes a move to Stamford Bridge, and the West London club are currently discussing personal terms and carrying out background checks on the Colombian. It's believed the deal between the two clubs for Duran, which could be worth up to £40 million, is broadly agreed, but there's still hurdles to overcome. Wow. It's down the road, isn't it? So 45, let's say 35 up front, 5 in add-ons. Straight swap, 35. Chelsea would want to put the 20-year-old Duran on a long, incentivized contract rather than putting him on straight big wages, and they also want to be sure over his character. By the way, the contracts, I love that. People get funny about it, but this is what I wanted for so long. Incentivized contracts. You want that big bag? Be a good footballer for Chelsea. You know? Duran has a reputation of being an unusual character, know them feels, although Villa sources insisted he's never missed training and is not considered a so-called bad lad. Inverted commas. Unai Emery, the Villa manager, has been forced to agree to selling Duran, whose potential is rated as being sky high in the club because of profitability and sustainability rules that mean they must bring in money to make signings and boost the squad in readiness for a Champions League campaign. Interesting, conflicting reports here because we heard Unai wasn't too much of a fan of Duran. God, that rhymed. But I feel better about him being forced because it means he's a good player and we want good players. Yes, Maatsen reached the Champions League final with Dortmund, producing a series of impressive performances, and currently is with the Netherlands, of course, which is a great opportunity for him to demonstrate his immense ability. Chelsea midfielder Gallagher is also away at the Euros with England and has made it clear he wants to concentrate on the opening game against Serbia rather than his own future. Other than Villa, of course, Tottenham are interested in Gallagher. We know that. Other than negotiating with Villa and Duran, Chelsea are of course holding talks with Crystal Palace over their £60 million move for Michael Olise, which we've been covering quite meticulously and closely here on the channel, mate. Sport understands the complicated clause in Olise's contract is not only for Champions League clubs, and that Chelsea are confident they will not have to pay more than any other club to land him. Palace would prefer a straight cash transfer for Olise, although a deal with Chelsea could open up the possibility of players being sent to Selhurst Park on loan this summer. And I've referenced before, Chelsea and Palace have had a really good relationship with loanees. Ruben Loftus-Cheek was really good there. Conor Gallagher was excellent there. Michy Batshuayi was there. Villa, I think he scored 5 goals. He scored a few. Villa are expected to complete a deal that will see Douglas Luiz join Juventus, with the club collecting £20 million and taking midfielder Weston McKennie. God, yeah, what happened to McKennie? He was high profile for a while. Who could be utilised at right back, and former Chelsea utility player Eiling Jr. Wow. All right, how do we feel about this? I actually think it's really good Chelsea maintain a strong relationship with their London brethren, Crystal Palace. Yeah, I mean, it would be good. Yeah, I think Palace is good because they're local, they're Croydon. Obviously, they're not as local as Fulham. We've also sent players to Fulham or Brentford. We seemingly don't have a relationship with Brentford, apart from maybe taking their set-piece specialist. That's all I know so far in terms of our relationship with Brentford. But yeah, Palace is good to maintain a good relationship. Can't remember the last player we've purchased from Crystal Palace. But I tell you what, if we get Michael Olise, we'll be getting a ruddy good one at that. So what do you think? Well, look, it looks like Tosin's over the line, good signing. Everyone broadly agrees. I read a piece on The Athletic of why he's good. Great, he's good. Everyone tells me he's good. I'm sure he's good. We'll watch him play for Chelsea and we'll make our decision from there. But he was a free transfer. It's got to be represented as good business. Good business. And of course now, it looks like Olise and John Duran are the next up. And good news about Estevao Willian completing his Chelsea medical. So what do you guys think? Let's start up the conversation down in the comments. I want to see what you guys are saying. Once more, thanks for liking the video. Thank you for subscribing. If you choose to, hit the bell. And keep it locked, guys, because, of course, I'll probably be back later today because stuff's popping off all the time. See you back here soon. Peace.